Good morning, lovely. I'm here to talk about New Earth some more. And for any of you who might be experiencing ascension symptoms, giving you a little bit more information so that you know how to move through this and you know how to recognize it when it shows up. So as far as I understand, a lot of us are going to start experiencing these. So even if they haven't started yet, this is just a basis of understanding for when they do start popping up. You might remember this video. And you might be thinking, why am I watching this right now? But just listen and maybe it will connect the dots for you. Because some of you guys have been feeling exhausted, feeling drained, having headaches, sleeping really bizarre, waking up earlier, going to bed way later, waking up in the middle of the night, and then just being awake for many hours. This is because things in your body are shifting, your energetic body. Things are being activated in you, and other things are kind of falling away. You might be experiencing a lot of self-doubt, or on the contrary, a lot of confidence in areas that you never had confidence in before, just kind of a flip-flop. You might be questioning things about your sexuality, about your career, about your partnership. If you're in one, you might be questioning things about your life or your future or who you thought you were going to be. These are all natural parts of the ego death process. The ego death involves shedding all these layers of who we thought we were. Since we were young, a lot of times we just project an image of ourselves and then we just run it on repeat. And very seldom do people actually revisit that projection and ask themselves honestly, does this still represent me? And the truth is, if most people had sat down and honestly asked themselves and analyzed, again, honestly, they probably recognize that not a lot of things that they were projecting still resonate. And yet there's this idea that we need to kind of put up a front, a facade. It's like a hanging we hang over our actual selves, and we just say, this is who I am. For example, I used to say I was a people person and a sunny personality and all of these things that were just kind of canned responses. Did they represent a part of me? Yeah. They represented a small facet of me. But as I've gotten to dig deeper and as I've done a lot of healing, I've realized I'm not a sunny person. I have a lot of facets to me. I have a lot of depth and I can go really deep into emotion, and I can feel things really intensely. And a very emotional landscape. Do I have moments where my personality bubbles over and where I feel a lot of joy? Yes. But I actually have a very wide range of emotions, and I'm not a single facet of anything. And most of us are not. I certainly am not. I'm not going to speak for you, but I urge us all at this time to just step back and honestly evaluate, who are you really? Who do you want to be? Who were you and who are you becoming? Just be honest. If you've been in a loveless marriage, or you've been questioning things in a specific direction, say for example with your industry or your business or your job, you've been wondering maybe if it was right for you, but you might be surrounded by a lot of people that are always in your ear telling you, what are you, crazy? Why would you ever quit that job? Or why would you get rid of that business? Because they don't really get who you are, who you came here to be. Definitely don't let other people get in your head at this time. And I want you to know, I'm never ever trying to get in your head. All I'm ever trying to do is be a mirror. Thank you, Spirit. Somebody who can mirror things that you might be thinking or feeling to kind of give you a little more insight as to what might be going on. And the choice is always up to you. And I want you to empower yourself right now, that no matter what other people say or project on you, that you are always based in a reality of your own feeling and intuition. That everything you're doing is hopefully at least aligned with your higher self and moving from a place of integrity and self-knowledge. And if you don't have that self-knowledge now, I'm probably delivering this message right now because a lot of us need to go inward and kind of figure out who we are, do a little digging. And it's often not going to be fun. A lot of times we're going to find things that we didn't know were there, or things that scare us, or things that we've been rejecting our whole lives. For example, when you see a trait in someone else that you really dislike, oftentimes it is somehow a mirror of yourself. And this goes with our parents. A lot of times we look at our parents from a young age and we judge them and reject them. And then at a certain point we realize we're becoming our parents. And I'm not necessarily talking about toxic traits of, passing on trauma. I'm talking about the annoying noise that your parent made, in the morning when they were clearing their throat, or the way that they would talk to strangers in the street. It used to annoy you when you were young, and you realize you're exactly the same. And it was just a mirror of you, even back then. So that part made me laugh, and I want to bring a little lighthearted energy into this. I want it to feel kind of playful and expansive, as if you were a child being curious again. Part of my job is to get us all curious again, curious about our lives, ourselves, the world, instead of just projecting. This goes for the world too, the external world, projecting, like slapping a thing up there and saying, that's the world. and then always seeing it through the lens of whatever it is that you just slapped up there, this projection, this assumption, this judgment. Take that off. Clean the window of your, view to the world and see it with fresh eyes. It's not what you thought it was. It's not what you projected it was 20 or 30 years ago, or even 2 years ago, or even 2 months ago, because we're constantly unraveling. And part of this new earth awakening and ascension is the unraveling of these old ideologies of what it means to be human, of what it means to be on earth, a human on earth. And so just give yourself freedom to explore the expanses of this beautiful, planet that we live on, and this really intense moment that we all incarnated during. This is not a normal moment. There will never come a moment exactly like this again. All of the past meeting up with this future that we've been creating, and we're kind of like, the two are pushing against each other, and a lot of people judge this as negative. A lot of people are seeing this all from a viewpoint of way too close up. But when we zoom out and see it from a higher perspective, from the perspective of evolution and how far we've come, think about 100 years ago. It was a whole different world. Think about 20 years ago, for crying out loud. And those of us who are alive and in some sort of adult state of mind, we can recall that 20 years ago, this was a very different place. Technology was not even close to what it is right now. The way that we connected was nothing like it is now. Everything has changed. And yet, a lot of times we insist that we're the same. But how could we still be the same when so much around us has changed? It's time to get to know this new version of ourselves and give ourselves grace, the grace to move through this with compassion, with ourselves and with each other, recognizing that we're all figuring this out together and that there is no right answer, and that this is a really fucking crazy time in history. And there will be a lot of history books written about this particular time. And I'm sure that can be said about any particular time because it's all relevant, but I think you know what I mean. So just keep that in mind. Be gentle with yourself and get excited again. Figure out a way to shed some of this heaviness that we might have been carrying around, especially since the pandemic started, and some of this survival mode of feeling like we have to keep fighting and pushing and forcing things instead of just allowing it to kind of melt away or surrender and arrive in this moment fresh-faced and ready for something new. So the universe is handing you something new. And I hope you can accept it with love in your heart. And either way, I fucking love you, all right? If you want to support this work, this is my full-time job. I quit a lucrative business to do this work full-time. I'm stepping into teaching locally, but until that kind of pans out and the money starts falling into place, it would be really amazing to have some support from the community to keep this content moving. This is my life's purpose. This is what I came here to do. My website is Sacred Muse Project if you want to learn more. But either way, I fucking love you. Keep going. And if your contribution is just to like, subscribe, share, comment, follow, that's a huge help as well. And it helps this content get out to more people who need it. So I love you, and I'll see you next time.